What's going on, world? You have tuned into another episode of Corrected Felon. I am your guy, your host, your boy, your cousin, the homie, Corey Frazier, as known to my family and friends. But on Instagram, I'm known as Inspires the Block, and also on Twitter. Please go follow me on my social media apps, and I hope that you subscribe, like, and comment to the Corrected Felon series on YouTube and also on the podcast Corrected Felon, which you can find on any one of your favorite podcast apps. I hope you all are having a wonderful holiday season. In fact, right now, as I record this, it's Christmas Eve. And I pray that you're having a good time as you're spending it with family and friends and enjoying just some good energy with each other. You know, so that is my deepest prayer for you guys out there. And I'm kind of in the spirit myself. I got my little coffee cup, my little Christmas cup, but it's okay. I'm here doing this, recording this for you guys, so that you can continue to be inspired. And what do I mean by that? Of course, this series that I'm doing is directed at convicted felons, but also for those who have loved ones that are convicted felons, and they're trying to get them to maximize their potential and stop doing the same thing that they've once done in the past that has landed them in and out of jails or prisons or probation or parole. And so, what I want to talk to you guys this week about is a couple of things. One in particular, well, two things in particular. One is that, what was it, the last election cycle in November, Florida voted to restore the voting rights of over a million convicted felons. That's a wonderful thing because if those individuals would have had the opportunity to vote before the people of Florida voted to restore those rights, then the election may have went a different way. And also, just recently, a couple days ago, uh, Congress passed a criminal justice reform bill, and it was advocated by the likes of Van Jones and many other people that work in Washington D.C. And if you want to, you can actually go look it up. I have it right here. It's congress.gov. It's Senate Bill 3649, which entitled the First Step Act. Now, I've read it, I've went over it, highlighted a few things, internalized a few things because I am a convicted felon. So I wanted to see how this was going to affect the lives of many people that are incarcerated to this day. And I wasn't that impressed with the bill, even though there are some good things inside of it, which I would discuss. Probably not on this episode, but I'll probably make a part two. But it has some good things in it. But at the end of the day, it does not cover the real issue when it comes to criminal justice reform. It just doesn't. In my opinion, I believe that in 2020 is going to be nothing more than a campaign speech, especially for the politicians that's running in 2020. So, but let me explain to you what I mean by this, because some people will be like, probably thinking like, "Damn, man, you just hating," or you know, accept what they did and just allow it to be that. I can't. I have to be a voice of reason, a voice of logic, on behalf of those that are just like me, convicted felons, people that's been to prison. I have to speak on this. And so, one thing that this bill did, right, it allowed a few things to take place, especially in the correctional facility and dealing with convicted felons. But what it does not do is it does not go to the depths of what's really going on, especially with convicted felons. One of the things that it did not do is allow for prisoners to further their education. Yeah, they have things in there to target employment for prison-based jobs that will help them transition to where they get out. But however, education is the key to a person staying out of prison or out of jail or off parole, off probation. It's education. President Obama, when he was president, he restored a lot of those Pell Grants for prisoners to be able to get education while they were incarcerated. Because think about it on these terms here. When the average person goes to prison, right? They go in, chances are they go in without any kind of formal education. I didn't. I ended up getting my GED while I was in prison. And matter of fact, it was 6 years after I was locked up. And the average person that goes does not have a GED or high school diploma. Now, those programs are available in prison, but that's just it. And we know that in the society that we live in today, because it's continually continue to progress, that you're actually going to need some kind of a higher education in order to be successful in this society. So that is one of the things that needed to be done. And that's one of the things that this bill did not do. It didn't provide for prisoners to get higher education, access to Pell Grants, access to things to where they can actually take college courses while they're locked up, so that when they are returned back to society, they're marketable. They come out with some skills, they come out with some information, they come out with some knowledge to where um, they can just jump right back into the workforce. Another thing that I wish this bill would have done is allow everybody that's released from prison to be automatically bonded. What this does is allow a convicted felon to be employed based on bonding from the federal government. Usually you can get it, but you have to do the research on your own. But I think they should have made this automatic, that felons, once they're released from prison, that they're automatically bonded, so that they can jump right into the workforce. Another thing that isn't addressed in this bill is that mental health. I mean, if you're going back and forth to jail and prison, in reality, psychologically, something is wrong. If if this is the norm, if this has become part of a person's life, then psychologically something is going on. And so this is also needed. Some mental health counseling, some mental health programs to continue once a person is released from prison. Now, I'm not saying that the things that I'm giving you are a silver bullet to correcting a felon. No, I'm not saying that, because at the end of the day, it starts with us. We have to be the change that we seek. However, I think that the federal government and state and local governments have a duty and a responsibility to ensure and make sure that a person, when they are released from prison, has the opportunity to be successful. One of the biggest things that could have happened in this bill that I think would have worked personally is the approach that the Koch brothers laid out, I think maybe a couple years ago, when they told a lot of investors and a lot of people that have businesses to get rid of that box, that have you ever been convicted of a felony? That needs to be done away with. Of course, you have the right to want to know who works for you, but I believe that's all on evaluation or based on the interview. You're gonna get the opportunity to see that once an employer is interviewing a potential employee. So, but getting rid of that box would help out a lot, because at the end of the day, this first step bill that they passed, employers still have the opportunity and the privilege to reject a person's employment based on their criminal history. Based on their criminal history. Also, to housing. Like, it's hard to get housing if you've been convicted of a felony. Does that make sense? No. So, like I said, in this bill, there are a few good things. I'm not going to take away from that aspect. But before we start parading around talking about this is a major shift in American society, no, that's not true. Because at the end of the day, they still have private prisons. People have to fill those bunks. That's a fact. Just like I'll show you, talk about or explain it to you in a little bit of depth. You have something called the Civic Core Inc. Civic Core Inc. is uh, a private company that you can buy stocks into, private prison. Also, they have the GEO Group. And as you can see right now on my phone, for those that's watching on YouTube, that hey, it's exchanges going on based on these prisons. These stock market companies. So Do they really want criminal justice reform? No. The only way that they make money is if people are in those beds. That's just a fact. So we got to understand that. Let's not, get too excited about what's going on with this first step bill, because at the end of the day, it really does not change the trajectory in which the path that corrected convicted felons go down. It doesn't. What it does is put a band-aid on a gunshot wound. That's all that it does. It doesn't really change the norms of our society when it comes to the prejudice and biases of convicted felons. It doesn't. We're still outcast in society, even though they have passed this bill. So, like I said, in the next episode, what I'll do is go over some of the good things inside the bill. I'll do that. That's my word. You got my word on that. But however, what I wanted to do is just to point out the fact that we can't get too hyped about this. We just can't. Once again, in my humble opinion, in 2020, that bill will be no more than a campaign speech for politicians that's running for office in 2020. That's all that it would be. I mean, Bernie Sanders explained it best. Just go to his Twitter account when the bill first came out. He broke it down that it's, even though it is what it is, a first step, but it's not a big enough step to help our society reform and correct felons. So once again, please subscribe, like, and comment on Corrected Felon YouTube and also Corrected Felon Podcast. And follow me on Instagram at Inspires the Block and on Twitter at Inspires the Block. So until next time, once again, everybody, enjoy the holiday season. Have a good time. Spend time with your loved ones. Tell them how much you love them. And just use this time to soak up nothing but love and good energy. Until next time, I am your boy. Salute.